How's it going, guys? So I'm here with some post-fight thoughts on the fight that happened last night between Gennady Golovkin and Kell Brook. As you guys know, going into the fight, well, after the weigh-in, I had my concerns because Triple G, he didn't look right to me. He looked a little bit, I don't know, a little bit frustrated to me. And Abel Sanchez, after the fight, he covered it and said that basically, Triple G was pissed off with the traffic. Took him a while to get to the weigh-in, and he was a little bit agitated from having to make weight, and he just wanted to go back to the hotel and relax and just get it over with. And that was the reason, supposedly, why he didn't do any interviews. But obviously, we didn't know that at the time. We had no explanation. All I saw was Triple G at the weigh-in, looking very different to how I've seen him look before. He's usually all smiles. He's usually pumping his biceps and stuff like that, jumping around. He's usually very, very confident and gives off a very positive vibe. Whereas at the weigh-in for this fight, I don't know, he looked a little bit depressed to me, so I was concerned. And Kell Brook to me looked fantastic, better than ever. He didn't have that big Adam's apple sticking out. He didn't have his face sucked into his cheeks like like some kind of drug addict. Kell Brook looked extremely healthy, extremely well prepared, and I was very, very hyped for this fight. Now, the fight delivered. It was very, very, very high paced, high intense fight. That's one thing I will say. I mean, the commentators. I mean, two of my least favorite commentators in the world. Two of my least favorite fighters were commentating this fight. You had Paulie Pillowhands Malignaggi, who I just can't fucking stand the sight or sound of that guy. And of course, Carl Froch, and you guys know what I think of Carl Froch. I don't need to say any more. But yeah, those two were. But I agreed with them in the fight. They were very, very on the edge of their seat. They were just jumping for joy for every single little thing that happened in the fight. They were, because it was that kind of fight. It was high intensity. Every time Golovkin landed a shot, every time Brook landed a shot, it was like whoa, whoa, whoa. Everybody in the arena just couldn't believe whatever was happening, because you knew that, as soon as Golovkin lands a significant shot, the fight could be over. And you knew that Kell Brook was up against it and was a big underdog. So you knew that if Kell Brook's landing combinations, people are going to be screaming for him, and it just adds to the atmosphere. And it was just that kind of fight. So much intensity, so much excitement. It lived up, and I loved it. Now, Triple G, he won the fight. Okay, he won the fight in devastating fashion. The first round came out. Now, a lot of people gave the first round to Brook. I actually gave the first round to Golovkin. Golovkin landed a very, very hard left hook. And one thing that was very, very clear to me was that Golovkin was not trying to carry Brook. I have seen some absolute ridiculous comments on this fight, with people saying that and suggesting that Triple G was trying to carry Brook to the later rounds, and that was why he didn't get him out early. Triple G was trying to take Kell Brook's fucking head off in the first round. Okay, he was coming forward, he was slugging that left hook, wasn't even placing it, he was loading up on it, throwing that overhand right. He was trying to rough Kell Brook up. He was going for the knockout early on, as soon as the bell went. Okay, he got onto the front foot, he took the initiative, he was trying to get that knockout and establish himself as the man. Kell Brook took advantage of that, and in the second round, Kell Brook really gave Golovkin a beating at times in that round. I mean, he was landing them uppercuts on the inside, as I said he would. He was catching Golovkin with hooks. When Golovkin would gesture him to throw shots, because Golovkin sometimes gets that little bit of a machismo about him, where he likes to show how tough he is, and likes to show his chin. And Kell Brook capitalized on it and laid into him and really landed a lot of shots. And Kell Brook had Golovkin a little bit staggered in there. Now, Golovkin showed his chin. Usually when Kell Brook hits guys like that, well, at welterweight anyway, usually when he hits guys, he puts them down and he puts them out. But Gennady Golovkin has a much better chin than anybody Kell Brook's ever fought before. So, he wasn't able to have Golovkin in a position he has most of his opponents in when he hits them like that. So Golovkin, he weathered the storm in the second round and landed some of his own shots too. His jab was very effective. And also, one thing that was evident to me watching it, and even more evident watching it a second time round, was that in that second round, something happened to Kell Brook's eye. I think that Kell Brook, I don't know whether he maybe shattered a bone, like his orbital bone or something, or maybe it was just inner swelling. But something happened to Kell Brook's eye that was very irritating for him, because you could see him dabbing at the eye in the next round. And when fighters do that, it's usually when they're frustrated with something that's going on in their eye and they're trying to get their clarity back. Like sometimes when a fighter's cut or when they've got swelling on the inside, you'll see them dabbing at their eye to try and get a clear picture of what's going on. And Kell Brook was doing that, and Triple G, he knew that Kell Brook was doing that, and he took advantage. In the third round, the first time watching it, I gave Brook that round. However, when I watched it the second time round, I gave it to Golovkin. But Brook really did a good job in that third round, I have to say, with the immense amount of pressure that Triple G was putting on him. You know, Brook was landing punches and he was boxing well, and he wasn't running. That was what was very important to me. Was Brook was not running, and I agree with Carl Froch and what he was saying in the commentary. Carl Froch was saying, you know, Brook is not fighting negatively here. He's trying to fight. He's just trying to get his clarity back, basically. And you know, Kell Brook, he really showed a lot of toughness, a lot of heart. He never went down in the fight. He was on the canvas in the second round, but it was mostly a slip. You know, Golovkin was moving forward with all his weight, and he landed a left hand, but it was more to do with balance. You know, Golovkin was his whole pressure that he was applying and his weight coming forward had Kell Brook off balance, and he fell to the canvas. Now, in the fourth round, that was when Golovkin really started to pick up the pace. He just, you know, I think Abel Sanchez told him in the corner, just get this guy out of there now. You know, you're the stronger man, you're the tougher man, you're the middleweight. Get in there and just put your punches together and finish this dude. And Golovkin, he turned up the heat. I mean, wow. I mean, the pressure he put on Kell Brook in that fourth round. And it's not so much the punches he was throwing. It was the pressure, like I said, cutting off the ring and just keeping Kell Brook on the ropes and keeping him on the back foot and just really, really taking it out of Kell Brook. And Kell Brook, towards the end of the round, he was out of breath because of that pressure. Now, it reminded me of the Matthew Macklin fight, where Matthew Macklin just, in a few rounds, Matthew Macklin just, and he said after the fight that the ring felt so small in there with Golovkin because of that immense pressure that he's putting on you, and you end up out of breath, and you just have no energy left against him. So, yeah, that was what happened to Brook in that round. Then in the fifth round, Golovkin just, you could tell he knew he had the fight in the bag at that point, because Kell Brook just really didn't have the strength left or the energy to really compete. So Golovkin came forward, just put the pressure on him. He landed a couple of left hooks to the body, a couple of right hands upstairs, and he battered Kell Brook in that round, battered him. And Dominic Ingle, he saw Kell Brook put his hand on the ropes. And, you know, fighters do that sometimes when they're off balance and they need to gain a little bit of clarity. I remember Hasim Rahman doing that against Alexander Povetkin. He was hurt, so then he put his hand on the ropes to try and hold himself up just to gain his clarity back. And that was what Kell Brook did. And Gennady Golovkin's too smart for that. When he sees a fighter behaving like that, he knows what he's up against. He knows he's got a guy that's hurt and that's trying to gain their balance, and he capitalized on it and he knocked him out. You know, and then he didn't knock him out. He had him off balance, and then he hurt him. And then Dominic Ingle threw in the towel. He stood up in the ropes. He was waving that towel. He was like, you know, that's it, fight's over. And Kell Brook protested the stoppage. He wanted to continue. Now, I'm sure in the back of his mind he was a little bit glad that the fight was over because of the pain that he was in. But he wanted to continue. He did. You know, he said in his post-fight interview, you know, he did protest the stoppage. And he said, look, I wanted to stay in there. I'm a fighting man, you know. I felt I would come on strong in the later rounds. And, you know, Kell Brook's a very, very honourable guy. You know, he obviously wanted to keep fighting. But he just, it just wasn't wise, you know, with his eye being so irritated like it was. And with Gennady Golovkin coming on strong, it was only a matter of time before he got devastatingly knocked out. So, yeah, you know, all credit to both guys here, especially Triple G, man. I mean, look, Triple G is getting, as we all expected, as he always does. It doesn't matter what he does, okay? Triple G is getting all this hate from all these people saying, oh, he fought a welterweight, he looked shit, he took a lot of punches. But the fact of the matter is this, guys, okay? Triple G just went over to the UK, fought an undefeated world champion in front of all those fans in the UK, a guy who's on the pound-for-pound list, and stopped him in 5 rounds, okay? I mean, come on, who else in boxing is doing that. Who else in boxing can lay claim to the fact that they're on the road all the time, they're knocking every fucker out, and they're not even, they're not even really struggling. I mean, I know we took a lot of punches, but at the end of the day, he walked right through it and he got the stoppage. I mean, what more do you want from this man? Seriously, I mean, Gennady Golovkin, he is. I mean, there's a case to be made that he is one of the greatest middleweights of all time. I mean, in terms of his dominance, surely, there's never been a more dominant middleweight. Obviously, there's been other middleweights that have won more belts than he has, but what I mean by dominant is, I mean the manner in which he wins his fights. How non-competitive his fights are and how conclusive they are. Because with middleweight champions in the past, like Bernard Hopkins, for example, and I've talked about this in previous videos, there was a lot of fights with him that weren't conclusive. And same with Marvin Hagler. You had certain fights that were very close, certain fights where he came from behind, and fights where where he lost. So, but Gennady Golovkin so far has never lost. He will lose eventually. He's not going to retire undefeated. That I know. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I think that Gennady Golovkin showed. He showed to me that he is a pound for pound level fighter. I mean, you don't stop an undefeated world champion in 5 rounds in their backyard if you're not a pound for pound level fighter. Okay, he's a tremendous fighter. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching.